going on, guys? It's Friday night. Solomonster here with you. Wasn't planning on doing this, but couldn't really wait. Had a few things I wanted to get off my chest. I'm sure you all know the news by now. No, I'm not here to talk about Smackdown, because who gives a fuck about that? I'll have to catch up with Smackdown tomorrow. No. The big news of the night, which actually broke during Smackdown. In the middle of the show, we get the breaking news that WWE has released even more talents because they haven't gotten rid of enough of them this year. So why don't we do another one? Why don't we do another talent purge? And as somebody who comes from the PR world, it was not lost on me that this happened on a Friday night, because on a Friday night, or sometime late on a Friday, that's when you deliver bad news. When you want to wait until the end of the week, people are getting ready for the weekend, you want to kind of, under the cover of night, you want to release the bad news, you do it on a Friday night. That's what you do, right? Happy weekend, everybody. 12 NXT talents purged, gone from the roster. And I've talked a lot in recent weeks about NXT, a lot of the changes that have been made, other names that have been released, the fact that Vince McMahon does not give a flying fuck about NXT. This is not new. You've heard me talk about this now for a very long time. When Vince McMahon and Nick Khan and Bruce Pritchard went to the PC a few weeks ago, remember that story? All the news websites and all the dirt sheets they released that all the major executives in the company were making. It's like a field day trip down to the Performance Center. And I made the comment at the time, I said, boy, somebody better lock Hit Row in a closet. I don't want Vince McMahon to get a whiff of what those guys are doing. They should lock themselves away until they're gone, and then they can come back out when it's safe. Because it's gotten to the point where when I hear that somebody is about to be called up to the main roster, I fear for their future. And if you are somebody who is a fan of their work, if you want to see them do well, if you want to see them thrive and you want to see them succeed, you really don't want to see them go to Raw or SmackDown, because it is a dangerous gamble to make. And it shouldn't be. It's like a baseball player being called up from the minor leagues to a major league ball club, right? Every baseball player dreams of that. In any sport, you go from the minor leagues to the major leagues, right? You make a lot more money, you have a lot more success, you can contribute, you can become a big star. It's the natural progression that everybody wants to make in life, no matter what it is that you do. And yet we as fans sit here, many of us, the ones with half a fucking brain in our head, who can see what's going on here, and we wish the opposite, because we have absolutely no faith that Vince McMahon is going to see these NXT talents for what they are. He will have his own idea for what he wants to mold them into. He'll have to change this, he'll have to tweak that. And in some cases, some of them go on to have very fruitful careers on the main roster. I'm not saying that every single NXT talent that gets called up ultimately fails. You can make a list of people who have been called up who have gone on to have some success. But the other list is far longer than it should be. There was somebody who wrestled in the main event on Dynamite this past Wednesday night who came out of the NXT system after he signed with WWE. He had a great entrance. He had a great presentation. He was over. The fans seemed to enjoy his work. I had high hopes for Aleister Black on the main roster, and Ricochet, and all these different people. And you can point to all of the different examples of careers that have been ruined upon their call up to the main roster. And Black was probably one of the more egregious examples of that. You didn't really have to do much with him. They had created this great character for him in NXT. You didn't have to change much about it. Remember what happened with him when he got called up and he sat in a fucking room for about 2 months, waiting for somebody to knock? Nobody ever knocked. He just got done. He did an interview the other day and talked about how Paul Heyman was one of his staunchest allies. And he would always, talk to Paul, and Paul was desperately trying to get him out of that room. And then we see what happened with him. Another talent wasted. Sitting on his ass at home for months with nothing to do until they reintroduce him to TV, only to fire him a few weeks later after he already made his return. That's one of many examples. I used to watch NXT. When I started reviewing NXT on the Sound Off, probably was about, 2013, 2014, sometime around then. And I genuinely enjoyed watching NXT at Full Sail University. The show just had a certain vibe. It had a certain feel to it. It was an hour long. It was an easy watch. It wasn't like a throwback to the Monday Night Wars where you had all of this exciting stuff going on and all these big names. It wasn't about that. But you could see the stars of tomorrow in NXT finding their footing, right? Finding themselves. Someone like a Bo Dallas, who was the most plain Jane vanilla babyface you could possibly imagine when he first debuted, but then he sort of grew into that goofy heel champion role where he became very entertaining. And I was hoping that maybe they could bring that to the main roster. Remember what they did with Bo Dallas when he came up? Oh, that's right. Nothing. They did nothing with him. You can go all the way up and down that list, but I enjoyed watching Bo Dallas and Neville and Tyler Breeze, and even when they sent Tyson Kidd down there, it was a pleasure for me to watch NXT every single week. NXT and Lucha Underground, they were like two of my favorite shows to watch every single week. Then they went to USA Network. They expanded the show to 2 hours, and things have not been the same since. COVID, of course, took them out of Full Sail. They've been at the COVID Coliseum there at the PC now for the longest time. But really, when NXT was expanded and they moved it to USA, the show was never really the same. But I still watch. Because for the most part, I still enjoy the show. And I have faith in Triple H and his booking on that show and the people he surrounds himself with in terms of writing, in terms of creative. NXT does not smack you across the face like you're a fucking idiot the way that the main roster does. I believe in the vision that they have for that show, and that Triple H, when it comes to the key programs on that show, he's got a plan for where he wants to go. They're not going to insult the audience the way that they typically do on Raw or SmackDown. That was always one of the things I enjoyed about NXT. And it would always make me wonder when you would hear chants of NXT on the WWE main roster shows, what Vince McMahon thought of that. Or people would praise NXT and they would shit on a lot of the stuff that they would see on the main shows. How did that make Vince McMahon feel? Right? Can't make him feel too happy. Does he feel like Triple H is showing him up? I don't know. I always wondered about that. But as time has gone on in recent months, I don't believe that there can be any doubt anymore that Vince McMahon does not give a flying fuck about NXT. We found out about that this week, because I'm going to talk about Adam Cole and Pete Dunne here in a second, when you have two of the biggest names in NXT whose contracts come due, and in the case of Adam Cole, it comes as a shock to supposedly key people in management. Last month, when his deal was up, he agreed to an extension through SummerSlam weekend. People in WWE executive management were said to be shocked by this. They thought they had him under contract until the end of the year or the beginning of 2022. If that was somebody they cared about, do you think they would have let their contract come due? Do you think it would have been a shock to them to find out that Adam Cole's contract, oh my God, Adam Cole's contract is up? No. It just reinforces what I've been saying for the longest time. They don't care. They don't care. So the fact that tonight they butchered the NXT roster, they gutted it, they cut 12 people, and no, not all 12 people are major names. There are a few names on this list. I don't even know who these people are. But these aren't the only cuts they've made. And some of these cuts are absolutely fucking baffling. Now, you want to know how I found out about this tonight? Because I was not even really paying attention to SmackDown. I was planning on catching up with SmackDown tomorrow. But I happen to be on social media. I happen to be on my Twitter page. And I look and I see somebody sent me a tweet a copy of a tweet from Bronson Reed. You've heard me praise Bronson Reed on the podcast when I talk about him. He's an agile, athletic big man. I enjoy watching him. Former North American champion. I see that Bronson Reed went on his Twitter and announced he had been let go by WWE. At first my thought was, maybe I misread the tweet. Then I reread it and I realized, no, I read it exactly the right way. WWE released, among these 12 names that I'm about to rattle off to you here, Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is somebody who is probably close to 350 pounds. He's in that 330 to 350 range, would be my guess. Loop Cannon in the chat says thick boy. That's what he used to call himself. I think he could probably come up with a better nickname than that. But he's a big guy who can move around and can do some impressive things in the ring. And I loved his tsunami splash because it actually was a finisher that looked devastating. Here's this giant man coming off the top rope with a giant splash. It's such a basic move, right? But it looked great. I just enjoyed his work. And you know, there are certain aspects of him remind me of Bam Bam Bigelow. And it's not a coincidence that if you think back to one of the earlier TakeOver shows, I think it was a multi-man ladder match that he was in. If you remember, I think it was Bronson Reed who actually paid homage with his ring attire to Bam Bam Bigelow. I wouldn't be surprised if he looked to Bam Bam as something of an inspiration. There are certain things he does in the ring that kind of remind me of that. And Bam Bam was another example of an agile big man who can move around and do things that a guy his size probably shouldn't be able to do. Off the top rope. You mean to tell me that you can't find something for Bronson Reed to do? You can't find a way to make money? With Bronson Reed? He was called up recently for a dark match or a tryout match before Smackdown. They've been calling up a lot of NXT talents. I believe tonight they had Dakota Kai, who wrestled either a main event match or a dark match. They're doing this because the people in management don't know who these fucking people are. They have to call them up to watch them work. It's like their first time watching them. Because all you would need to do is watch the fucking television show. Bronson Reed's been on there. Dakota Kai's been on there. Austin Theory's been on there. Tony Storm's been on there. You wouldn't have to call them up for a dark match to sit there and take notes as if you're scouting some kind of rookie. Bronson Reed, who should have been on his way up to the main roster, even though I feared for him, and now you see why. Now you know why I make the comments I do. I don't do it out of jest. I don't do it just to shit on WWE. I do it because I have no faith that these men and women have a future once they hit that main roster. And that sucks. That shouldn't be how I feel. I should want to see them on Raw. I get sick of seeing the same faces on Monday nights. I get sick of seeing the same faces on Friday nights. How do you fix that problem? You call up new names. Why would I want to see these people get called up when you see the way that some of these talents have been treated? So I heard Bronson Reed, he lost the North American title. Boy, it sure looks like he's going to be called up. May God have mercy on his soul. I mean, some kind of comment like that. He never even made it to television. He had one tryout match and he was cut because these people who run this company are absolute fucking morons. These people have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea what good talent is if it smacked them right in the face and sent them a notarized letter. These people have lost the plot in this company when somebody like Bronson Reed doesn't even get a shot on the main roster. Never even had a chance. Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. His tweet, by the way, just got released by WWE. This monster is back on the loose. You don't know what you've just done. And he tagged AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, and New Japan. I'd love to see him do some damage in New Japan. Because not everybody has to go to AEW. AEW only has so much space. Although Vince McMahon is certainly giving them a whole bunch of different talents to choose from here. And think about that comment that Vince McMahon made on that conference call about a week or two back. Joking about how, oh, maybe I'll give them some more talent. Again, this is one big joke to them. This is one big joke to these people. At some point, it's going to come back to bite them on the ass. But to them, it's a joke. Yeah, we get rid of some people here. We trim the fat over there. Bronson Reed in New Japan, I think that could be a winning combination. But it shouldn't even be in this position to begin with. He moved to this country because he wanted to work for WWE. He moved from Australia to this country because he wanted to be a star in this company. And he went to the Performance Center and he worked his way up the ranks in NXT and he found success and he got himself over. And then he was never even given a chance. And good for him posting that tweet. They don't know what they've done. Show them. Show them. That's all these people can do is try to land on their feet and find success somewhere else and show this company what they missed out on. One of the people I actually feel bad for here, just a little bit, not too much, because he's still part of upper management in this company, and upper management in this company gets no fucking, they get no sympathy from me, is Triple H. Because Triple H, he's in the trenches, right? He's working with these people. He's working with them. He's trying to help them along. They always speak very highly of Triple H. Oh, Papa H, right? Because Triple H, NXT is his baby. You say what you want to about the guy, but I do believe that he cares. I believe that he cares. I believe that Shawn Michaels cares. When I see footage of them at the PC hanging around these guys and working with them and teaching them and showing them different things, they look genuinely engaged and happy to be there. What must they be thinking? What must Triple H be thinking every time a new story like this comes out? When somebody gets fired, when somebody goes to the main roster and they undo every fucking thing that he did. Look at Karrion Kross. I rest my case. You take the time and you take the effort. It's so delicate, you want to present somebody a certain way. You want to present them as a star. And then they just get their legs cut out right from under them on day one. How does that make someone like Triple H feel? How frustrating must it be for him? How much furniture must he be breaking in his office right now as he hears about this and he watches this? Because it's got to break his fucking heart to hear a story like this. 12 people axed in one night. I doubt that was his call. No, it's The Wrath of Khan Part 2. The sequel came out a lot quicker than I thought it would after The Wrath of Khan Part 1 when I talked about Bray Wyatt last week. Bronson Reed, gone. Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish, a veteran of the ring, right? He's in his early to mid-40s. Big part of Undisputed Era. Now, Undisputed Era has been broken up for a while. And Bobby Fish only recently came back from injury. Bobby Fish has been very injury-prone in his NXT career. To be honest with you, the Bobby Fish cut doesn't bother me nearly as much as the Bronson Reed one does. Not that I'm happy about seeing anybody lose their job. I think it sucks no matter who you are. That one was less shocking to me and didn't bother me as much as the Bronson Reed one did. Because I didn't see a future for Bobby Fish on the main roster. I saw a future for Bobby Fish maybe as some kind of a coach at the Performance Center for NXT. He's at that age, and just in terms of where I saw his ceiling on the main roster, his best shot would have been if Undisputed Era never broke up and they brought them up together as a unit, all four men. And I'll say the same thing about Roderick Strong. Those two guys, they don't stand a chance. They never stood a chance on the main roster unless they were part of some kind of a group or a faction like that brought up collectively. But it was still surprising to see his name on that list. Mercedes Martinez, another veteran of the ring, 20 plus years. Finally, she got that contract with WWE, right? It was a great feel-good story. And then what do? Creative geniuses in this company. What do? They include her in this Retribution faction. It was a year ago. I'm going to be talking about it on the history segment. Retribution would have been 1 year old this week. She was going to be part of it. She was, at the very beginning, part of the original Retribution. And we never did find out for sure exactly why she went to them and said, look, I have to pull out of this. I heard stuff about, because she's got a daughter. And the reality is this. Mercedes Martinez is not a dumb person. Mercedes Martinez has been doing this for so long. She probably took one look at this gimmick and said, I don't want to have anything to do with this. This thing is ridiculous. I can't be associated with this. This is going to kill my career. Because she was smart enough to know that that faction wasn't going to last very long. And guess what? It didn't. She requested to go back to NXT. Smart lady. So she went back to NXT. And she got a fresh start. Then she got kicked in the head by Xia Li a few weeks ago. She got knocked loopy. We haven't seen her since, and now she's done. So a sad end to her run. I think she's another one who, over time, could have transitioned into someone who would have been very helpful in a coaching role with the women in NXT. She definitely could have had value for them down there, I think, even more than the main roster. I mean, it would have been nice to see her on the main roster, mixing it up with someone like a Sasha Banks or even a Charlotte Flair. But her value could have been, much like Bobby Fish, in a mentor or a coaching role once she was ready to sort of transition into that role. And maybe that will happen eventually. I don't know why any of these people would ever want to work for this company ever again. I don't know why any of these people would ever want to work for this company ever again. But a lot of them will. Because at the end of the day, WWE, in their mind, it's still the biggest company in the world. It's the biggest. It's the most successful. When you're a wrestling fan growing up, one day I want to be on WWE. Everybody dreams about WWE. And it's hard to kind of get that mentality out of your head. So a lot of these people will eventually migrate back. Maybe even a few years down the road. Probably for less money than they were making before. Although how much money could some of these people have been making? We talk about budget cuts and all that kind of stuff. Nick Khan, he's trying to clear the books and budget cuts. I mean, look at some of the names on this list as I continue to go through them. How much money could some of these people have been making? I mean, give me a break. I mean, please. Jake Atlas. Jake Atlas is somebody who I heard a lot of positive things about before he came in. I wasn't too familiar with his background before he came in to WWE. I'd heard the name. And he was a good talent. He never really did much on NXT. I mean, forget the main roster. Atlas wasn't really doing much in NXT. And he was there for a while. What's sad about this is it just so happened that earlier today, if you go on his Twitter, Jake Atlas went on Twitter at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:56 p.m. this afternoon, today, hours before this news broke. And he posted this. He said he was so excited. Today is my 5-year wrestling anniversary. Congratulations, Jake Atlas. Congratulations. Today is your wrestling anniversary. Here's our gift to you. You're fired. It's a hell of a company. Hell of a company you work for there. So that was a nice anniversary gift for him to get. How about this? Ari Sterling. Now, a lot of you were probably wondering, who's Ari Sterling? He was not really a heavily pushed performer on NXT. What's interesting about this, Ari Sterling, what time is it? I guess it's over by now. Ari Sterling was on tonight's 205 Live, wrestling the Cruiserweight champion, Kushida. So when this news broke, 205 Live hadn't even started yet. He was already fired before he even set foot in the ring to wrestle the Cruiserweight champion tonight on TV. That's how much forethought went into these cuts. Not only did they fire him, they also got rid of Leon Ruff, who also had a match tonight on 205 Live. So half of the announced card, and those may have been the only 2 matches. I didn't watch 205 Live tonight, so I don't know. There were 2 matches announced, and one person from each of those 2 announced matches were gone from the company before the show even hit the airwaves tonight. How do you like that? Leon Ruff got a little push there for a while. I thought he was very good. He did exactly what was asked of him. Leon Ruff could have been, in WWE what Sean Waltman was back in the day as the 1-2-3 kid. He was that scrappy underdog. He can work. He can fly around. One of those guys who I doubt was making that much money. You can't find a role for Leon Ruff. People liked him. And if nothing else, then you use him to help put other people over. His fiance, as far as I know, is still employed. She is one of the female referees down there. I'm sure, it's a pretty shitty night for the both of them. But Leon Ruff is gone. Asher Hale, which I thought was a stupid name from the day they announced it. He's the former Anthony Henry from Evolve and other independent promotions. Asher Hale, he'll probably be better off being able to go back to the name Anthony Henry. He was cut. How about this? Tyler Rust. Again, not a big name, but they just debuted this new Diamond Mine faction with Roderick Strong, right? Led by Malcolm Bivens. Well, you had Roddy and you had Tyler Rust. And that's it. And then they had the Japanese guy who just stands there and doesn't say anything. So now this new faction that they called up is already down a man. Diamond Mine is done. They could always plug somebody new in there, I guess, but basically Diamond Mine is already done. They just started this new act, and they already got rid of one of the people in the group. I'm surprised they didn't get rid of Roderick Strong. They already fired his wife, Marina Shafir. She was part of that wave of cuts months ago. I'm surprised they got rid of Bobby Fish. I'm surprised they didn't get rid of Roddy, too. But already, Diamond Mine, finished, done. You're down to Roderick Strong, Malcolm Bivens, and the Japanese guy who doesn't say anything. Great job. Kona Reeves, gone. Kona Reeves is someone who, they've tried with him. He had a few different names and a few different gimmicks. Never really went anywhere. I guess they just decided to cut their losses on Kona Reeves, so he's gone. Giant Zangier, Zechariah Smith, referee Steven Smith. Again, I don't know who some of these people even are, but it illustrates a point that I want to make here. Every week, it feels like every week, it seems to bring more and more releases, more and more cuts, as WWE makes more money than the company has ever made before. More and more people are being fired. More and more people are being let go. And it's not just names like Giant Zangier, okay, and Zechariah Smith. I mean, there's some big names, even tonight. Or Bray Wyatt recently, and other people that we can talk about who have been let go. Braun Strowman. There have been some big names as well who probably had some big money contracts. But every week seems to bring news of another release or another firing or something along those lines, as this company continues to generate more money than it has ever made and generated in its history. But it illustrates another point. I knew that this company was signing a lot of talent and hoarding a lot of talent, but it doesn't hit you until you see 12 more names cut. And some names I don't even recognize. How much talent this company has been hoarding for the last several years. They sign people and they don't know what to do with half of them. They just sign them. They're just trying to stack them up, put them up on the shelf. One day when they decide to dust them off, maybe they'll use them. And when they outgrow their usefulness, they'll get rid of them. That's what they do. They hoard talent to keep them from going other places, whether it was, and even before AEW, it would have been to prevent them from going to Impact, to prevent them from going to Japan. Now it's AEW. No matter what they say, they could talk about all they want to about how they're not competition. They are competition. They're competing for talent. And they're signing talent to keep them from going somewhere else. But then they don't know what to do. It would be one thing if they signed these people and actually had an idea for them and said, hey, you know what? We think you'd be a good fit on SmackDown. We think you'd be a good fit on Raw. Hey, we got a great idea for you. We got a great gimmick idea for you. That's not what they do. They sign people and then they sort of just throw them aside. Now, if you're somebody who's at the Performance Center And COVID just made it worse because now they're not even doing those live shows in Florida. They're just hanging out at the Performance Center training. That's a lot of training. What else is there for them to do? They're not getting on TV. They're not getting any more experience. You would be better, maybe not financially, but you know what? You would be better off not being in this company and being able to go ply your craft and actually get out there and work and build a name for yourself. And then one day when you actually get over and there's a buzz and people are talking about you, WWE might be like, hey, we need this guy. What good does it do these people to just sit around collecting dust and doing nothing? They're not even working. They're not growing. They're not learning. So it really hits you how many fucking people this company has been hoarding. PW Insider had an update on why these cuts may have happened. This is just them speculating, but they said there's been lots of talk internally of major changes for the NXT brand, including possibly a new logo, new lighting, a focus on younger talents, and a different format to the TV shows. And that might have something to do with the house cleaning that we saw unfold here tonight. Yes, because the logo and the lighting, that's the real issue with NXT. That's the real issue. It's not the fact that people can't get behind these characters, because what the fuck is the point? As soon as they get called up, they're just going to ruin the whole friggin' thing anyway. Or they're going to change them, they're going to cut them, so why bother getting behind anybody? Why even watch NXT? Why even bother reviewing the show? Why invest in these characters if they're just going to be completely destroyed? Or if everything that we're watching right now is going to be completely undone? What's the point? Why get invested? Why do I get excited when I see Cameron Grimes in the storyline with LA Knight, which I've been enjoying? Why even bother getting excited about it? Why do I think Cameron Grimes is going to hit the main roster and actually go places? I've said Cameron Grimes has the potential to get over as a Daniel Bryan type of babyface where the fans naturally sort of gravitate to him. He's very entertaining. He's very talented. I would love to see him achieve that same level of success. Why even bother? Why even bother dreaming about that and hoping for that? Because none of this matters. Nothing that any of these people are doing in NXT right now means a damn. That's probably the biggest issue with NXT right now. But hey, they're talking about changing the logo, everybody. That's gonna fix their troubles right there. We need a new logo. We need more colors. We change the lighting. Let's change the lighting. I don't even know what that means when he talks about featuring younger talents. Or are they going to completely phase out some of the bigger names? Are they going to phase out some of the veterans on there? Because you need a mix of both, you know. The last thing we need is NXT to turn into, you know, another 205 Live. Which, let's be honest, nobody gives a shit about 205 Live. And basically, WWE, what they did tonight, they killed 205 Live. Because all the people that used to be on 205 Live, Arya Daivari and Tony Nese, and now Ari Sterling and Leon Ruff, 205 Live, it was already pretty much dying. Now it is dead. 205 Live is done. So you can forget that. But we don't need NXT to turn into that. So I'm not even sure that I like the sound of that. But let's talk about two more names here who were not cut yet. Give it time. It might happen yet. Adam Cole. Now, this was a big story this week. Adam Cole, as if we needed any more evidence that WWE does not give a shit about NXT. We found out that Adam Cole is in quite the position right now because his contract expired or was nearly about to expire early last month, when either he brought it to their attention or somebody there finally became aware of it, and Adam Cole, being the nice guy that he is, instead of just keeping his mouth shut and letting his contract run out, Which, by the way, if that happened, there would be no 90-day non-compete. That's only if they release you early. If your contract expires, you're free and clear to go do whatever you want, wherever you want. But he went to WWE. They worked out an extension through SummerSlam weekend, which, of course, is going to be the next NXT TakeOver show. He's going to wrap up his feud, his ongoing program with Kyle O'Reilly. They're going to have that rubber match. It may as well be a loser leaves NXT match at this point. But he almost saw his contract expire, and this supposedly, as I said earlier, caught certain members of management in WWE off guard. It just so happened to coincide with the firing of Canyon Ceman. That was when WWE released Ceman, and they let him go. Apparently, it was his responsibility to oversee that type of thing, and so we might now know why Canyon Ceman was released. They didn't tell us why. Now I think we might have an idea of why he was let go. But in any event, per Fightful Select, Adam Cole is not the only one whose contract was about to be up with NXT. Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne, another big name from NXT, supposedly has his deal coming up for expiration at the end of this month. Either the very end of this month or the beginning of September. Pete Dunne's contract as of this moment, we're not aware of him re-signing or extending his deal at this point. But it looks like his deal is also about to run out. I mean, you talk about taking your eye off the ball. How does something like this even happen? How does this happen? We understand that oversights will happen from time to time, right? The famous story of Jim Ross, the head of talent relations, who dropped the ball on Jeff Jarrett, whose contract was up the same night he was going to defend the Intercontinental title against China, and then he held him up for money. He wanted the money that he was owed, and it was a whole fiasco. Sometimes mistakes happen. How does Adam Cole's contract run out? How does Pete Dunne's contract nearly run out, and you don't have these guys locked in for longer deals? Because as far as we know, it's not a case of them having been offered a new deal. It came down to a situation where their contract was almost up, and it's like, oh shit, we should probably lock this guy down. How does that even happen? When it's not a priority, stuff like this happens. Because they don't care. They're not Roman Reigns or Bill Goldberg or Brock Lesnar, so they don't care. It's not a big deal. Now, with Adam Cole, we'll talk about Adam Cole first here. Adam Cole has basically been Mr. NXT for, 4 years now? I think it was 2017 when he arrived in NXT. He and Johnny Gargano really have been, when I think of Mr. NXT, I think of Adam Cole, I think of Johnny Gargano. And ironically, those two guys had what I believe to be the best match in NXT history. That first match they had at TakeOver New York, which I was there for. The night that Gargano won the championship, it was supposed to be him and Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa got hurt. And so it ended up being Cole and Gargano, and they had a fantastic match. So this guy from day one, from the moment that he debuted in NXT, nobody can say that WWE has misused Adam Cole over these last 4 years. You can't say that. If he goes to Raw or SmackDown, you'll be able to say that. You can't say that they've misused him so far in the time that he has spent in that company. Because ever since he debuted, he has been a top star on that brand. He has been the longest reigning NXT champion of all time. But he is always in a position where if he's not wrestling for a championship, he's still on top. He's still one of the top 4 or 5 names on that brand. Ever since day one. So the way Triple H has used him, the way Triple H has creatively handled him and booked him on the show, you really can't complain about the way that, they have used Adam Cole. And there was a time where if they wanted to call him up, they could have done that and should have done it as part of Undisputed Era. It probably would have worked out better for all of them. They would have had a better shot if they would have been called up together as a unit. But then they went and they broke them up, which I guess, if you think about it, shouldn't really matter because since Vince McMahon seems to abandon half the shit that Triple H comes up with anyway, Hell, I mean, let them just show up on television next week. Reunited as a group. No explanation. Just put them back together. What does he care? You could have an Undisputed Era reunion on Raw this Monday night if you wanted to. Although now I guess you can't because Bobby Fish, he swam away. They threw the fish back in the lake. They don't want him anymore. They unhooked him and they tossed him back in. But you could have done that. You could have called Undisputed Era up as a unit, and they never did. And those guys have been on the NXT brand now for a very long time. But the reality is that Adam Cole, much like Bobby Fish would have, and much like Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, he might have a chance. I've always said I don't see Kyle O'Reilly as a world champion, even in NXT. I just don't. I think one day he could be a fine intercontinental champion, but that's kind of where I see him at. Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish, if he was still there, those guys didn't stand a chance. They don't stand a chance on the main roster. They don't. They don't. And the fact that I even have to say that about Adam Cole is ridiculous. But the reality is Adam Cole physically is a small man as compared to a lot of the other people that you will find on that WWE main roster. Even NXT. Look at some of the talents they're bringing in now. They're getting bigger physically, right? They're getting bigger and bigger, it seems. On the main roster, though, can I picture Adam Cole standing in the ring opposite Drew McIntyre, standing opposite Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns, even Baron Corbin, and Vince McMahon looking at this guy with his head barely coming up above the top rope and thinking, you know what? This guy, we're going to push him. He's going to be a top star on this brand. You really honestly believe that Vince McMahon would look at Adam Cole that way? Have you even been paying attention? When I said that on Twitter, I got so many tweets from people. What are you talking about? You're an idiot. Adam Cole has no chance. Because these people are brainwashed. They are brainwashed into thinking that being called up to Raw or SmackDown really is some kind of promotion. For a lot of these guys, it ends up being a demotion. Maybe not financially. Maybe financially, they make a little more money. But you got to ask the question, what do you want? Do you just want money? Or do you want to actually grow and find creative success and become a name player, become a top tier player? What is it that is most important to you? That is what these people have to ask themselves. What are they in this for? What do you want to do? Do you want to be creatively satisfied and happy with your position and not be miserable when you come to work every day? Or do you want to just make money and you don't give a fuck? You'll sit in the back, you'll enjoy the catering, let them pay me, pin me, pay me. I mean, is that the attitude? Because if it is, then by all means, Adam Cole should go ahead and sign a big fat contract with WWE. But that's what people like Adam Cole are going to have to ask themselves. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because you know WWE is going to want to sign him to a 5-year deal. They love these long-term deals, right? 3 years, 5 years. Where does he see himself? He's 30, what is he, 32? I believe he's 32 years old. Where does he want to see himself when he's 36? What is it that is most important to him? Here's the thing that I think some of these people don't understand. And a lot of these releases recently have really illustrated this point. Adam Cole was supposedly being summoned to Smackdown tonight for a meeting backstage with Vince McMahon. That was the report that I saw earlier tonight. I don't know what the outcome of that meeting was or if the meeting even happened. I can only imagine Adam Cole's reaction coming out of that meeting when he sees the news of all these NXT releases and his good friend Bobby Fish being released. People were joking, oh, he must have signed the contract because they had a clear payroll to sign Adam Cole and then they cut 12 people. Although I wouldn't put it past him if that is really what happened, but I'm going to assume that's not what happened. But Adam Cole was supposedly meeting with Vince McMahon. I assume for Vince McMahon to make some kind of pitch about him re-signing a new deal and how, you know, we're going to call you up and we've got great plans for you, right? Doing his Jedi mind tricks that we've heard people talk about before when they have their meeting with Vince McMahon. He can be very persuasive. I don't know if he's as persuasive at 75 as he was when he was 55, but we've heard these stories before about Vince McMahon. He can be a very persuasive individual. Let's say that Adam Cole goes into this meeting and Vince McMahon really sweetens the pot and says, we want to keep you. We're going to do whatever it takes to keep you. We've got big plans for you. And we're going to triple what you're making right now in NXT. We're going to triple it. Right? Because, you got to imagine he's making NXT money. He's not making main roster money. They could pay Adam Cole $5 million. It doesn't matter. This is what people don't understand. It's the whole Anderson and Gallows thing, or the whole FTR thing, where they, in the case of Anderson and Gallows, they actually did sign new deals. FTR, they were smart enough to get the fuck out of there. But they offered these guys high six-figure deals that in any other environment, FTR and Anderson and Gallows, all due respect to those guys, would never have been offered. And in the case of Anderson and Gallows, they took the money. Right? Because it only made sense. After all, Carl Anderson's got like 16 kids and a hot Asian wife at home. So, hey, I'm going to take the money. We'll buy 5 more cars. Great. 5-year deal, supposedly, right? High 6 figures. It wasn't even a year. It was 6 months, right? 6 or 7 months later, they were fired. So you can sign a 10-year deal. It doesn't matter. WWE can still cut you. The ball is in their court. They have all the leverage. They have all the power. Your long-term deal that you think is going to be equal to job security ain't worth shit. It's not worth the paper it's printed on, because you have no such thing as job security in this company. If you want job security, WWE is the last place you would want to work. If I'm Adam Cole and I'm going to go back, I don't want to leave. I want to stay in WWE. He's got this thing in his head that it's always been his dream, and I've been here already for 4 years, and oh man, they really want to do stuff with me. You know what? I would hope that he's smart enough to ask for a no-cut contract. Ask for a no-cut contract. I laughed when I saw Lana when she left WWE. She had said something about, if I ever go back, I want a no-cut contract. Like, really? As if she was ever positioned so high up the card that she would be given something like that. But then I thought, you know what? Good for her. She's got the right idea. We can laugh and scoff because, right, who the fuck is Lana to ask for a no-cut contract? They all should ask for that. They all should ask for it. Adam Cole especially. Adam Cole's a big name. What's the worst thing that happens? They say no. Okay, so you shake their hand and you say, thank you for the opportunity, but I think I'm going to go pursue my interests elsewhere. Because no matter what they promise you, it doesn't matter if they can just get rid of you at any given moment. And we've seen them do that. We have seen them do that. Braun Strowman had just signed a new 4-year contract, probably worth millions. 4 years. He went on Instagram and gloated about it. And he got fired. So what does it matter? If you don't have the protection against them just randomly getting rid of you for no reason, that contract ain't worth shit. And unless Adam Cole is hurting for the money, I would hope he's going to make whatever decision he wants to make. I'm not trying to make decisions for him. I'm just talking here. I'm just talking as a fan. He'll make whatever decision that he feels is in his best financial interest. I would hope that he at least has the courage to ask for a deal like that, because I would hate to turn around a year from now and find out that Adam Cole was on Nick Khan's cut list. Because do you think Nick Khan cares about Adam Cole? I don't think so. Nick Khan doesn't care about anything except his fucking $8 million mansion over there in Pasadena, or wherever the fuck his house is. One of his houses. That's what he cares about. He was brought in, he was a shark. He was brought in to do a very particular job. He does not care about any individual talent. He probably doesn't even know who most of these people even are. This is not a company that cares about you. This is not a company that cares about your contract, that cares about whatever promises were made, that cares about whatever creative plans there may have been for you. Because when they look at their roster and they realize, you know what? It's time to trim the fat. You might be the unlucky one if they go alphabetically whose name starts with A. And that's something that Adam Cole needs to keep in mind going forward. I knew that Adam Cole's goose was cooked the moment that Road Dogg made that comment on Corey Graves' podcast last year. Remember the comment that Road Dogg made? And Road Dogg is somebody who is in a position of power and authority in that company. He is an agent. He is an executive in NXT. He works alongside Shawn Michaels and Triple H. And he went on that podcast and he praised Adam Cole. Everybody praises Adam Cole. Adam Cole, he's such a wonderful guy. He's a team player. He's a pleasure to work with. We know he's a great worker. We know he can talk. You put a microphone in his hand and the guy can give you an A+ promo. But what was the comment that Road Dogg made? You remember that comment? If this guy had the size of a carrying cross, he would be the Universal Champion right now. Meanwhile, look at Karrion Kross and what they've done with him. You think Adam Cole stands a chance? You're out of your fucking mind. If he had the size of a Karrion Kross, he would be the Universal Champion right now. He said the quiet part out loud. That's what he did. That is somebody who is in a position of power in that company. He's not some rando on the internet. That comment should have scared the crap out of Adam Cole. This should be an easy decision for him to make. He was done. The minute I heard Road Dogg make that comment, I knew he had no chance. No chance. As far as what his prospects are outside of WWE, I mean, the one that seems to be the most obvious is AEW, and not just because his girlfriend works there, although I'm sure that's an attractive thing as well, right? Being able to be together more often. But the reality is he's friends with all of those elite guys, right? The Bucks and Omega. I mean, there's a history there. Bullet Club and all that kind of stuff. And look, I mean, Adam Cole is the kind of guy he'll fit right in. In AEW, I mean, he fit like a glove. So I'm not one of these guys that's just going to randomly say, oh, you know, everybody should just go to AEW. But honestly, I mean, if you look at some of these people, Adam Cole, you know, I mean, he'd be in that top 3 as far as people who really should go to AEW because he'd fit right in there. He's got a whole bunch of reasons why AEW would be a good choice for him. I just think that my gut tells me, and I don't know him, I've not spoken to him, but my gut tells me he's not going to go anywhere. My gut tells me we're going to come to find out that he has signed a new deal to stay with WWE. And I really hope that that's not the case. I actually want him to leave. I don't want him to stay in that company. That company does not deserve Adam Cole. I'm going to be very upset if I find out that he signs a new deal and stays with WWE. That is where we are at right now. It will upset me to find out that he stays in that company. Especially when I see stories like what we saw tonight. And my first thought is just, fuck these people. Fuck these people. Fuck this company. They've already said fuck you to NXT. So you know what? Say fuck you back. And I would love to see Adam Cole pack his bags and get the hell out of there. Because the next time we hear a story like this, his name could be on that list. And he's already given 4 years of his career, the prime of his career, to this company. I don't want to see him waste another 4 years in this company and turn around and be like, man, I wish I would have signed that other deal. I wish I would have gotten out when the going was good. I don't want to see that happen. Pete Dunne, just to kind of put a bow on all of this here. Pete Dunne is only 27 years old. He is in the best shape of his life. When he came back, I think he had gone vegan and he really slimmed down and toned up. So, again, he's physically in the best shape of his career. He's still young. He's a fantastic heel. I think Pete Dunne, you know what attracts me about Pete Dunne when I look at the wrestling landscape and where I might see him? I don't think of AEW when I think of Pete Dunne. I think Pete Dunne, what really kind of gets me interested is the idea of Pete Dunne, for example, in the G1. Can you imagine Pete Dunne wrestling in the G1 and getting in the ring with some of those talents they have over there in New Japan? We know he's well-traveled internationally, right? He moved, now he did move to this country, so I'm not sure that, after moving from the UK to Florida, although there are a lot of New Japan talents who are based out of Florida. I don't know where, his priorities are in that respect. But he's another one who I don't see him leaving WWE. I think he'll stay. I think Triple H has used him well. I think if they were to send him back to NXT UK, it would be a demotion. It would be a step backwards for him. But if not NXT, then where do you go? You go to Raw, you go to SmackDown. And I think you're going to run into the same exact problem that you have with Adam Cole in terms of, does Vince McMahon get someone like Pete Dunne, right? The joint manipulation and just who he is, who and what he is. Does Vince McMahon, would he get Pete Dunne? This is the same Vince McMahon, by the way, that when they had Walter in that one Survivor Series match, Walter was the first one eliminated in the first 3 minutes of the match. For everybody who praises Walter as being this amazing talent, okay, that gave you a window into what his future would be on that main roster. How do you think someone like Pete Dunne would fare? Probably not very well. But the prospect of Pete Dunne going to a New Japan appeals to me more than the idea of him going to AEW. I don't think he would need to go to AEW. But just to kind of wrap this up, and I do know a lot of you guys have sent in super chats, and that's awesome. And I know a lot of you have a lot of thoughts and emotions about this as well. And I'm going to read all of your super chats here in a second. So I am going to get to that. But let me just say this, and I'm going to have more on this on the podcast on Sunday, episode 716, because I'm very curious to find out, frankly, how this meeting turns out with Vince McMahon and Adam Cole. I am hoping that he has not put pen to paper already on some kind of a deal. I will be very upset if I come to find out that he caved and just signed a new deal. It almost doesn't even matter what he's been promised, because how do you trust these people at this point? Look at what Vince McMahon has done to NXT. Vince McMahon has no respect for what Triple H has built with NXT. He's made that abundantly clear. Abundantly clear. When you have the NXT champion appearing on Monday Night Raw for no good reason, why Karrion Kross had to be called up now instead of waiting just a few more weeks, let him drop the belt to Samoa Joe, and then you can call him up with Scarlett. No, let's split them up. And I've heard the same stories about, well, the idea was that they'll eventually put them together eventually. There was no need to do any of that. But when you take the NXT champion and you put him on television and you job him out, I don't care what your long-term plans are to build him back up. He's the fucking champion. He's walking out on television with the NXT title strapped around his waist. You show respect for the championship. That is the championship of that brand. He is the representative of that brand. He is the face of that brand. They showed no respect to NXT. And I'm finding it very difficult now to really get excited about this match that's coming up at TakeOver in a few weeks. I'm excited to see Samoa Joe back in the ring. I think that's great. I think that's cool. But my enthusiasm has been dimmed for that match based on how they have booked Karrion Kross on TV. It is a complete slap in the face. And there could be any number of reasons why Vince McMahon resents NXT or resents the job that Triple H has done. And I have to say, I made a comment on the podcast a few weeks ago. And I believe somebody told me that I'm Busted Open. I know some of you listen to Busted Open with LaGreca and Bully Ray. And apparently on their show last week, they made the same comment. They agreed with each other. And some people dismissed it when I said it, and other people have said it because, oh, you bring AEW into this. But I actually do believe that the fact that NXT failed so miserably, head-to-head with AEW, that in his mind, Vince McMahon probably saw, okay, AEW, there's some startup promotion. This should be easy. We're going to beat them with our third brand, right? Our third-rate brand, because that's how Vince McMahon views NXT. NXT is not the third brand. No matter how much Triple H wants to think that it is, they're the third-rate brand. But I think the fact that AEW succeeded in spite of that head-to-head competition And in spite of whatever things WWE was trying to do to try to stifle their growth and their momentum, reflects in his mind poorly on Triple H. And I do believe that to some extent he holds Triple H responsible for that. And in his mind, it must be a case where it's like, God, you couldn't even hold these guys back. All you had to do was just stop them. And you failed. You couldn't even do that. You expect to run this company one day? You expect to take my place? And I actually wonder if Vince McMahon has lost respect for Triple H because of that. I was starting to think Triple H wasn't taking over anyway. I think it's probably more likely Nick Khan would take over. He probably has more respect for Nick Khan than he does for Triple H. There's any number of reasons why Vince McMahon doesn't care about NXT and resents NXT. But whatever it is a damn shame. Because they had built something that felt special. They were trying to, build the future, bring their developmental in-house instead of having an OVW or a Deep South, right, and contracting with some outside company. They brought it in-house, and they were trying to build their own stars. And Triple H tries to build stars down there that can one day become big stars on the main roster. But the problem is they actually run into a brick wall at about 85 miles an hour once they hit the main roster. That brick wall being Vince McMahon. They should be working together. They shouldn't be working against one another. This infighting has got to stop. It is killing NXT. I don't believe NXT is completely dead. Some people would say NXT is already dead. Maybe they're right. There's still some life left. They're on life support. But there is still some life there. But Vince McMahon clearly does not give a shit. And I wonder what the future of NXT even is. I wonder if a year from now, when we're having this, face-to-face here on YouTube, I wonder if NXT will even still be in existence. I wonder if NXT will even be a thing. I'm not so sure anymore. Because I'm not even sure how much of a priority it is for them. I mean, you got to get talent from somewhere. You got to have some kind of system to pull from. John Cena made a very astute comment this week, even if you could say that he's part of the problem. But he made that comment about how WWE really has to start focusing on building new stars because you can't keep going back to the well with the old guys. Right? I'm paraphrasing, but that's from John Cena. One of the biggest stars in the company in the last, if not the biggest star in the company in the last 15 years. Even he acknowledges that WWE does a poor job of focusing on youth and the future and building new stars. Where is the next John Cena going to come from? They have Roman Reigns. Well, after him, who's next? Who's that next guy? Becky Lynch, she got hot for a while. She was the biggest star in the company. I don't know if Becky Lynch, when she comes back in a month or two, is going to be able to get back to that level. Maybe she will. But where are these next big crop of stars coming from? Even John Cena sees things for how they really are. But Vince McMahon, Nick Khan, all they care about is the money's still coming in. They get that money from those TV contracts. Just keep pumping out content. Nothing else matters. People who suffer, besides the fans, are the talent. It's not fair to the talent. It's not fair to the fans who want to invest in this talent and get behind them. But boy, they sure make it hard to do that. It's a damn shame. It really is. NXT used to be a fun program to watch. And it's more depressing now than anything else. And it shouldn't be that way. It never had to be this way. But it's a damn shame. That's all I can say. Let's check out your messages here. I want to thank you guys here for hanging out with me. I debated if I was going to go live or not, but I said, you know what, this can't wait. I got to get this. I got to get this off my chest. We got to talk about this tonight, and hopefully we won't have to do another one of these in terms of another mass firing spree. This is not a company that really seems to care much about that, so I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of hopes that this will be the last of the releases. Unfortunately, there's probably going to be more. Every week seems to bring a whole new batch of firings, a whole new batch of releases, a whole new batch of bullshit. Who the hell knows what next week is going to bring? Let me try to bring up these super chats here. Never fun when people lose their jobs. Even, you could say some of the names on that list weren't surprising. Like I said, there were some on there I didn't even know. But anytime somebody loses their job, it sucks. It sucks. And how do you justify that when this company is as financially stable and successful as it has ever been? There's just no justification for it. Let's see what you guys have to say. Boy, you've been chatting away here. Time is at 12:30. We're gonna go as long as it takes. Promise you, I'm gonna get to all your messages. Jared, thank you, brother. Thank you for the 45. Appreciate it. Ryan Spies, Alex Zane. Signed under a year ago, for fuck's sake. What a joke. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of these guys never even had a shot, did they? All right, they never even got to show what they could really bring to the table. So you can't even say that these guys failed or, they didn't get over. I hear that a lot from people on, all the bootlickers. Because WWE, they have a fair share of bootlickers online. Now, they do no wrong, right? Or everybody praises AEW, and so it's unfair to criticize WWE even when they deserve it. But I hear that a lot. These people just didn't get over Solomonster. They couldn't get over. Couldn't get on TV. In order to get over, you must first be on TV. They don't seem to understand that. Rizzo, with the $10. The evidence that Vince eventually is going to sell WWE keeps mounting. And he says, can't think of another reason why they keep cutting people. Because Nick Khan is obsessed with keeping them in the black and not keeping them, not being in the red. He's all about trimming the fat, tidying things up. Absolutely, they're preparing for a sale at some point. It may not come for a couple more years yet. I've been saying that for months. This is a company that is going to be sold. It may well be sold to NBC Universal. They probably are first in line. That would be my guess as far as who would be the likeliest to buy them. All right, they already have the relationship with them. But this is a company that absolutely is being primed for a potential sale. No doubt. There's not a doubt in my mind. Pinned in a submission match with a $5 super chat. Do you think, along with the burial of prior NXT talent, is blowback for NXT getting beat by AEW? We just talked about that. Absolutely. I think absolutely that has something to do with it. And how petty is that, by the way? Right? How petty is that? Think about this. His own decisions, Vince McMahon's own decisions, and the way that he, kind of handles things and the way things are booked and people are pushed on television, a lot of that probably had to do with why AEW is even in existence today. So, in a way, Vince McMahon can kind of blame himself for all of this. But of course, I don't think he would quite see it that way. Anti-M Bishop. They just released Desmond Troy as well. Oh, did they? He was 205 Live against Joe Gacy recently. Trey Baxter spoke highly of them. The news really hurts tonight. Taylor, thank you for the $9.99. Anti-M Bishop. JD broke the Desmond Troy release tonight. Yeah, I am just hearing about Desmond Troy. So what would that make, 13? Does that mean we have 13 now instead of 12? I'm going to have to update my thumbnail. Hey, Steve. We got Steve Mello here in the chat. There he is. There's Steve. We may have to update the thumbnail here. We may have to go from 12 to 13. Let me check on this here. Let me see what the situation is here with Desmond Troy. Yeah, here we go. Right here. Life is tough, but it's about time I got some adversity to see what I'm made of. What a way to start the weekend. Thank you, Triple H and NXT, for the opportunity. There is power in the name, and with a name like Denzel DeJournette, I can't and won't lose. So I guess that makes number 13. I feel like by the morning it's going to be up to 14. How about 15, 16? Why don't you just release NXT? They would have been easy. They would have been better off just putting out a tweet saying WWE wishes NXT well in its future endeavors and just fucking fire the whole brand. Fire Triple H too. Just fire him too. We announced the release of Paul Levesque. I wouldn't be shocked. At this point, nothing would shock me. Nothing would shock me at this point. Jared, again, thank you, man, for the for that 45. If I didn't mention that already. Vincent Millage. Screw this company. He can't believe they let go of the thickest of boys. Reed will find work easily anywhere else, and I will follow him to watch. Jacob Donnelly. Can't imagine wanting to release tons of NXT talent, including Bobby Fish, while trying to keep Adam Cole. If I'm him, I am getting out ASAP. If he did not get coerced into signing anything tonight, I can't imagine that this news does anything to make him want to stay in that company. It's, again, if he stays, I'm going to be very disappointed. Very upset. Why would you want to stay in a company that treats talent this way? Why would you want to work for people who don't give a shit about you? And there's nothing left for him to do in NXT, so it's either go to the main roster or go somewhere else. I know what I would choose. Shiesty B. This just makes Vince's comment during the earnings call all the more messed up. Nick Khan is the Lance Archer of WWE. Everybody gets fired. Andrew Lolavar, thank you for the 5. WWE continues to prove that NXT's is worthless. Why should we get invested if Vince won't himself? Preach on, my friend. I've been saying the same thing. Preach on. What's the point, right? What is the point? Lone Wolf. Don't get it twisted. Getting released by WWE is a promotion. It is, but at the same time, these people are still probably, you know, it's a scary thing when you lose your job. Not all of these guys are going to get picked up by AEW or New Japan, right? Some of these guys might have some difficult times ahead trying to find work. And some of them genuinely probably wanted to work for WWE and nobody else, because to them, it was the peak of the mountain, right? It was the coup de grace. It doesn't get any bigger than WWE, but guess what? That's changing. That's changing. Not that AEW is ever going to be as big as WWE, where they're going to be making $265 million a year like WWE just did this past quarter. But times they are a-changing. And that's a good thing. Especially if you're a talent and if you're a wrestling fan. The wrestling world is a lot better off having a thriving AEW selling out the United Center and selling out Arthur Ashe Stadium than if AEW didn't exist at all. The fact that some people still can't admit that or they don't understand that means they're not too bright. Because if you can't put aside whatever hatred you may have for AEW, or if you're not an AEW fan, which is perfectly fine, but you can't acknowledge that them existing and succeeding and thriving the way they are right now isn't a good thing for wrestling, you are not a very smart person. Marek 13, if you're Adam Cole, sitting there across from Vince at Smackdown earlier tonight, what goes through your head seeing these releases? Oz and Glorious. I stopped watching WWE the day of the last Nitro because the McMahons are greedy, evil corporate scum who don't give a fuck about the sport or the fans. Dr. NXT Scorpio, I hate to say it, but at this point, NXT is slowly dying a death. No point for me to waste my time and invest in watching it anymore. Josh, do you think Vince even knows there is an NXT UK? Apparently not, because we don't hear about releases from NXT UK. All the NXT UK guys are like, shh. Don't tell the old man. He doesn't even know that we exist. Don't tell Nick Khan. Ryan Spies, if anyone wants an example of how underutilized Jake Atlas was in WWE, find his match with Jungle Boy from the 2019 PWG Battle of Los Angeles. Anderson Blitz, Nick Khan is the Bobby Kotick of wrestling. Anyone that is a gamer will recognize that name, firing 800 plus workers despite record profits. Well, Bobby Kotick is not the only, whoever he is not the only person who does that. I mean, you hear stories about this all the time in corporate America. Just because you hear stories like that all the time doesn't mean that it still isn't a shitty thing to do. I'm not saying Vince McMahon and Nick Khan are the only two people in America who do this sort of thing, but that does not make it any less shitty. Especially when you get rid of people who never even had... That's the thing that gets me. Some of these people were never even given a chance. One thing to have a chance and to fail. But when you're not even given the chance, how do you defend that? There is no defense of something like that. EJ Slemp. Are Tony Khan and Nick Khan secretly cousins? And Nick Khan is Tony Khan's mole in WWE. Because that's what it seems like. Adrian Moore, I was just talking about Reed with a coworker, shaking my head. The minute I read that report that he was going to be appearing, or he had appeared for some kind of dark match, and they had just taken the North American title off him after like a month, I got a feeling in the pit of my stomach that made me want to fucking vomit for this guy. I thought nothing good can come from this, but the fact that they couldn't even see the value. And he is a big guy, right? He's not tall, like super tall, but he's a big guy. And the fact that they saw no value in him is just... That right there tells you that it's an indictment basically on their ability to judge talent, is what it is. It is an indictment on their ability to judge talent in this company. That they could not find a role for Bronson Reed after investing all that time in him and watching him, and he can talk. I don't even know what else to say. Andy, Wrath of Khan 2 in search for sanity. Brianna, there was no way to get back into SmackDown after the cuts were announced. It reminded me of when JR announced Owen was dead and the pay-per-view kept going. I don't know that I would use that example. I know what you're saying, though. I don't know that I would use that as an example, but Yeah, it was impossible to... I mean, who gives a shit about SmackDown, right? I mean, this news broke in hour 2. I don't even know what happened at the end of SmackDown. I was kind of following along. I was going to watch the whole thing tomorrow, and it's like, I don't even give a shit now. Who cares? Who could possibly even care? I've never, you know, this company, they make it so hard to support them. They give you so many reasons not to do it. But it's getting harder and harder and harder every week that goes by. It really is. Frost. If you listen close in the distance, you can hear Triple H viciously swinging a sledgehammer at everything around him. Scott Woodford, Desmond Troy, released by WWE. Lone Wolf, Solomonster, you should make a super chat with Nick Khan's head on Shao Kahn's body, holding a stack of pink slips in place of the War Hammer. I might have to do that. That's not a bad idea. Dumb Punk. As a gay wrestling fan, I think that it is both funny and sad they fired Jake after using him in a Pride ad just 2 months ago. Well, WWE does that because it's part of just their corporate philosophy. They do it because they feel they have to. They don't do shit like that because they want to. So they got what they wanted to get out of Jake Atlas, and he, you know, outlived his usefulness, and now he's gone. It's like a sponge. They'll squeeze the sponge until there's nothing left in it, and then they throw the sponge away, they buy a new sponge. That's how they treat talent. They wring that sponge out, get as much out of it as they possibly can, and then they toss it in the trash. EJ. Meltzer reported they were ejecting fans for taking photos at SmackDown tonight, not just videos, which is understandable, but photos. F this company. I believe that was a policy of the building tonight where they were for SmackDown. So I don't know. I don't want to blame WWE for that. But I believe that was a policy of, which, by the way, whoever, if that was the building policy, that's a stupid fucking policy. I can understand video. You can't stop people from taking photos. Try to take my phone away from me when I'm trying to take a photo and see what happens. You're going to pull back a nub. You can't stop people from taking photos. It's a ridiculous policy. And I doubt that it was WWE's policy, because even they have to realize that they can't possibly enforce that. Sneaky boy. Triple H will put on NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2015 tonight as a single tear rolls down his cheek before Stephanie comes in and makes him go to bed. Samoan fan, wonder if Ronda will crap on fans for the releases. Oh, I'll get into Ronda on Sunday, don't you worry. Ronda and Dolph. I don't know if you saw that tweet from earlier. I've never seen a company that hates its fans the way the WWE just absolutely despises its fans. It's the most amazing thing to watch. It really is. I mean, I already knew they hated us just based on the way they write Monday Night Raw. But the way they absolutely, it just... They can hardly contain their hatred and their resentment of their audience. It's unbelievable to me. Rizzo. That is the biggest issue I have with WWE. They sign and hoard all of this talent to keep them away from AEW, and now they are reaping what they sow. Nick McCarthy for the $15. Thank you, Nick. Finally caught you live. Solomonster, you are the best for real. Nick, thank you for the support. You know, a surprise Friday stream. I only wish it were under better circumstances. It will be next week, because I will be live at 11 p.m. next Friday after Rampage. We're not going to be talking SmackDown. I'll save that for the Sunday show. But for at least the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be going live on YouTube Friday nights at 11 when Rampage goes off. So you can come on back here next Friday. Turtlehead, I feel Vince doesn't understand that the combined good NXT and AEW talent could compete with Raw and SmackDown. I am looking forward to what is ahead. Lou Rivera, Canyon Seaman, sounds like a tremendous porn name or an awful Attitude Era wrestler. Vince would have had a field day in 1999 with Canyon Seaman. Yeah, that was quite the headline to see a few weeks ago. WWE releases Seaman. But there it was. Not the headline I wanted to see on a Friday afternoon, but it is what it is. Dry chicken without flavor. It's unfortunate that Mercedes Martinez got released once again. Do you feel WWE hoarding talent within the past year is starting to backfire on them? You know, it's not really backfiring on them. It's backfiring on the talent. I feel bad for the talent. I mean, WWE, to them, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's a phone call. It's Johnny Ace. Hey, we gotta let you go. Budget cuts. Don't take it personally. No skin off their back. To them, they get to save money. It's the talent who get fucked. All this time that they could have been plying their craft somewhere else and building up their name even more, they've now wasted. And now they're out of a job. For WWE, I don't feel sorry for WWE. It doesn't hurt WWE that they cut these guys tonight because they don't care. To them, it's a cost savings. Crowfeather Media, it seems WWE is looking to be sold once the Fox deal is up. That would only explain the releases. Uffman Entertainment, Vince to Adam Cole, resign or resign. You got to put a hyphen in there, man. Come on. Those two words mean two totally different things. Resign. Come on, I'll owe you one, pal. I wouldn't be surprised if that was Vince McMahon backstage at Smackdown. Either you sign this fucking contract or every 3 minutes I'm going to release another NXT talent. It took 13 of them before Adam Cole finally signed. It was a hostage situation backstage at Smackdown tonight. Canyon Price with the $1.99 super chat. NFL teams release talent. This is no different. I don't even know how to answer that super. If you don't understand what the difference is, have you even listened to what I was saying for the last 20 minutes? When I was talking about signing people, not even bothering to use them, misusing them. This is not the same thing. I understand that people get cut, teams cut players and stuff. No, it is not the same thing. If you can't recognize the differences here, then you need to wake up. Pay attention. Start paying attention to what I'm saying. Canyon, thank you for the super chat. Food Hive. The name's Khan, Nick Khan. Acknowledge me. Food Hive again. Seriously, why are they doing this? Brother, your guess is as good as mine. Near Rofe. Do you think wrestlers ever get employee status? No. No. I don't think it ever happens. I think it would have happened by now if it was going to. Wilson, in the chat, you're welcome. Thank you for joining. Dry chicken without flavor. I'm now concerned for Keith Lee, Mia Yim, Cedric Alexander, and even Finn Balor. Sick to my stomach, but it is the summer of Khan for WWE. Yeah, Keith Lee needs to get the hell out of there. Joseph Brooks. Is all of this just proof that Vince simply does not like anything that he doesn't create? The same way he ruined major WCW and ECW stars. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, when he calls up NXT talent, there's a reason he has to put his stamp on it, right? Even Ricochet. When Ricochet came up, right? We have to add that little pew 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 to the beginning of his theme music, right? Aleister Black, when he did his entrance, let's add the creaking noise. You know, he has to add something just to kind of put his stamp on it. But I've known people, I've known bosses in companies that I've interned for or worked for who were kind of the same way. So maybe it could be some kind of, you know, if you're the president, if you're the CEO, the chairman, the head of a company, maybe it's some kind of pervasive mentality they all have where, you know, they have to put their own seal of approval on it to make it their own. So he feels like he has some kind of ownership over it. And then he could, if it succeeds, then he can just take credit for the whole thing, right? I think there might be something to that. Khalid in the chat, no, Cody did not retire. Rizzo, sorry for blowing up the super chats. Could Vince be doing this to NXT because, in his view, they got destroyed by AEW? Yes. I believe that he does have a certain feeling of resentment towards Triple H. I wonder a lot about that relationship. The business relationship. That would be an interesting story if we come to find out one day that there was some friction there. Rizzo again. Last time I probably, by all means, hey brother, you want to keep dropping super chats? You know, I'm not going to tell you to stop. I appreciate the support. Last time, he says, USA must be livid right now. They have the worst WWE show. All of their stars are on Fox, and then they get NXT, and now Vince cuts 13 of those talents. USA has to be furious. If USA isn't furious with the quality of Monday Night Raw, then I don't think they care. You know what? I don't give a shit about USA. Fuck USA. You know why? Because it's USA Network's fault that Raw is 3 hours. Never forget that. When you wonder why Raw is 3 hours every Monday night, it's not a Vince McMahon call. That was USA Network's decision. So fuck USA. Shino D. Phoenix with the $5. I wonder how Triple H feels and who might be next to be cut. Vince and Nick Khan need to go because this company is a sinking ship trying to stay afloat. It's all about the money. They're not going anywhere. Their shareholders are happy. They're making money. That's all that matters. They could put a turd in the middle of the ring every Monday night. As long as it drew decent ratings and they were still making money, they wouldn't care. They have no pride in the quality of their show. Nobody could have pride in their work, in their writing. If you watch that show every Monday night, probably for the last 5 years at least, you would realize these people have no pride in their work. It's all about, let's get the big money from the TV contract. Let's just keep, as long as we're making money, that's all that matters. These are people that have no pride in their work. That might rub people the wrong way who hear that. I don't give a shit. You have no pride in your work if you put a show on like that every Monday night and think it's any good. I would be ashamed to have my name attached to a show like that. I would be embarrassed. Jared, again, thank you for the $45, man. Love Gun. Rumble 2018 weekend takeover day. I could shout Adam Cole in the street, an arena, and people responded, "Bay-Bay." Sunday, after various shouts late in the Rumble, did a "Bay-Bay" sounded afar. So that's why I worry for Cole. Jose Leanos. Glad I didn't pick up the phone today. If you see a Stanford number, do not pick up. Jacob Barnes, you're right, Adam Cole has to get out. If he signs a new contract, WWE will ruin him like they have with so many other NXT talents. Scott Woodford, Adam Cole shows up all out to help Adam Page win. Book it. Well, if Adam Cole does not re-sign with WWE, if the reports are to be believed, his contract is up in a few weeks. There would be no 90-day non-compete. Or I guess for NXT talents, it's 30 days. But he would be free and clear to show up wherever he wants. So theoretically, he could show up at All Out. But I just have this sinking feeling he's going to re-sign. I think he's going to stay with WWE. I would love to be wrong about this, but I don't know. I just feel like they're going to promise him the world. He really doesn't want to leave. I don't have a good feeling about it. Dry chicken without flavor. Hopefully Triple H and Vince can sit at the family dinner table after what's been happening this year with all of these releases. That's why I said I would love to be a fly on the wall for family dinner at the McMansion. Bread Hart. Good to hear from Bread. I've been a fan of NXT since 2014. This is so sad to witness. I used to watch it religiously. Now I can't even get invested because of stuff like this. Nicholas Jacobs with the $20 super chat drop. I've been watching WWE since I was 5 years old, man, and I don't want them to go out of business or be sold. But damn it, this is terrible. Vince has become a victim of his own greed, wallowing in the muck of Everest. I assume that means avarice. You probably got screwed over by the autocorrect. Is that what happened there? Unless you were talking about Mount Everest, I don't think you were. But thank you, Nicholas. Joseph Brooks, WWE is now WCW 2000 with money. How scary is that? There it is. Nicholas says avarice. I meant. That's what I figured you meant. It didn't make sense. Everest. Jordan D. Paola with the $5. Mercedes Martinez is a 20-year veteran and legend. In my opinion, is Mia Yim still signed with the company? Mercedes gets a concussion and then gets fired. I don't know if she was ever officially diagnosed with a concussion, but she got her bell rung a few weeks ago. Yeah, and then they fired her. Mia Yim, as far as I know, is still signed. Mia Yim was supposed to be coming to Smackdown, and that never happened. In fact, let me ask you guys this, because I didn't watch Smackdown yet. Toni Storm debuted a few weeks ago, right? Like 3 weeks ago? She has not been on Smackdown since. I would hope Toni Storm was on the show tonight. Like, I understand that you don't have to be on the show every single week, but if she wasn't on the show tonight, what was that, 3 weeks? Where the fuck is Toni Storm? You debut her and then she disappears. So somebody in the chat, let me know if she was on the show tonight. Oz and Glorious, my fiance is real bummed I ditched movie night to tune in to you. Pipe bomb this evil company, whose shows I don't even watch. Tip my hat to you, Solomonster. Well, you can tell her I said I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin movie night for you two. Look at this. Everybody in the chat says that Toni Storm wasn't even on the show tonight. What was the point? What was the point of even debuting her? She actually won in her debut. She looked good in her debut match, and then she's just not on TV. How are you supposed to build stars when you won't even feature them on television? They can't even get that right. Where did this woman disappear to? Did she just disappear into a black hole? Lunch Hawks. NXT will fold because of Vince in 3 to 5 years. Also, you sound a lot like this guy from Vine Sauce. 3. Oh, he's saying 0.1, 0.2. I don't know what Vine Sauce is. It sounds like a cooking site or a cooking channel. Thank you, Lunch Hawks. King of Doug style. You can't build stars if you let them all go. You can't build stars if you don't put them on TV either, like Toni Storm. Near Roth. I believe in peace in the Middle East more than in WWE. Well, it's always nice to be optimistic. Dry chicken without flavor. Nick Khan saying, I am not in the danger. I am the danger. I am the one who knocks. ZBird85, with all of the releases going on, there's enough talent to make a real third brand with Triple H as the owner. They should just all go form their own company at this point. Triple H can just quit. He wouldn't be under Vince's thumb anymore. He wouldn't have all these other boring responsibilities in the company. He can just kind of run it the way that he wants to. Right? I wonder if on some level he wouldn't enjoy that more. But Triple H has it made, right? I mean, he's got it made. So why would he ever quit? There's no reason for him to quit. EJ Slemp. One person is safe, in my opinion. That is The Miz. I don't think they'll ever get rid of him and his 5 reality shows. Well, I mean, nobody sucks the teat of WWE more than The Miz, but I can understand why. I mean, The Miz is another one. He's got it made, right? Like you said, he's in movies, he's got reality shows. He's like, they're outside of Titus O'Neil, The Miz is their greatest ambassador. Kevin Murillo with the $20 super chat that just came in. I think you might be the last one here. Any chance this is to offset the road expenses or potential losses now that they are on the road? I mean, who knows? It's not as if they don't have the money to go back on the road. And I mean, outside of the last 17 months or so, I mean, they've always been on the road. They've got plenty of money to be on the road. The Thunderdome was probably more expensive than a lot of these road expenses. Over time, of course, as they travel to more places, it'll cost them more money, but they've got plenty of money for that. I don't buy that as an excuse. This is simply Nick Khan being brought in to just tighten the belt and save as much money as they possibly can. He'll cut costs anywhere he possibly can. That's the job that he's been given. Frank's 92, love you Solomonster, Tony Storm not on the show. Unbelievable. Evan Watson, would Triple H leaving affect his family life? He'd still be married to Stephanie, and I'm sure family dinners might be a little more awkward. I don't think it would affect his family life. It probably would actually de-stress him a little bit. It might actually be good for his mental health. Vincent Millage with the $10. Thanks for all the work, Solomonster. The best podcast out there. Love how honest you are. I feel like other podcasters tend to sugarcoat things and let their fandom blind them. Well, you know, you've got a handful of really good podcasters and YouTubers out there who speak truth to power. I'm not the only one, but you look on social media sometimes, you see a lot of people who I think let their tribalism get in the way. I forgot what it was. I made a comment the other night on the Dynamite stream, because I wasn't really a fan of Dynamite this week, the way that I was the last few weeks. I enjoyed the end of the show, but there were other parts that I just thought were boring. And you should see, there were some tweets that I got, there's some messages I got from people, or when I went back and looked in the chat and stuff. People can't handle it. There's just such this sense of tribalism. Like it's a team sport. You're not being paid by these companies. You don't have to blindly defend them all the time. You can like them, you can support them. But it's okay to criticize when there's a reason to criticize. You don't have to support every single thing they do. You're not getting a paycheck from them. Right? I'm not. But on social media, my God, it's like you're either for us or you're against us. You need more people who call it right down the middle and tell it like it is and aren't afraid to go out there and speak the truth. Which is why a lot of you are in here tonight, and I appreciate that. And I will never do it any other way. You can always rely on me when I'm on here. I'm telling you the way that I feel. I am not sugarcoating things. I am not, going easy on either of these companies. They do something that I think is stupid and dumb. I'm going to tell you that it's stupid and dumb, and I'm going to tell you why. That's how it should be. And if you find other people who don't do it that way, guess what? Don't waste your time watching them. That would be my advice. Rizzo. After Shane quit, I wouldn't be completely surprised to see Triple H leave, especially seeing Vince messing with NXT. Yeah, I mean, it's got to just kill him. Because what can he do? What can he do? He's going to storm into Vince's office and threaten him? I mean, but when he sees what Vince is doing to NXT, it's got to break off another piece of his heart. each time. Even someone like Shawn Michaels, who seems genuinely excited to be part of the NXT machine and to be around these guys. It's got to be killing those guys to see what he's doing to NXT. You got to speak up. If those guys can't speak up, then nobody else in this company stands a chance. If people like Shawn Michaels and Triple H don't speak up in situations like this and let their voices be heard, what chance do any of these talents have? It's no wonder people are afraid of their own shadow and they're afraid to speak out. Ric Flair supposedly sent Vince McMahon a text message, and he ended up getting fired. Although if you ask him, he requested his release. Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure Ric Flair voluntarily asked out of a very lucrative WWE deal that didn't require him to do much of anything. But it's no wonder why people are afraid to speak out. H-Dub. I've always wondered if continuing to release is a tactic to get to the competition. The more free agents, the higher risk of bloated rosters and money loss. I think you're putting too much thought into this. I think they're just hungry to save as much money as possible. I don't think we really have to look too deeply into this. Steven Gonzalez, do you think AEW will start letting some talent go in order to sign some of the free agents? At some point, AEW is going to have to let some people go. They are going to get to a point, I think, very soon, where they have to do an evaluation of their own talent roster, and they may have to let some people go. And when they do, depending on who those people are, we'll talk about it, and we'll see. You know, if they're cuts that make sense, or if they cut people who, you know, again, never really got a chance. There are probably people being featured on Dark who maybe aren't getting pushed on Dynamite. Maybe they deserve to be, in some cases. And if AEW deserves criticism for that, then we'll criticize them for that too. But I don't see AEW and Tony Khan going on this like mass firing spree. You know, where they just completely annihilate half their roster. I don't see anything like that happening. But I don't see how at some point soon that they can't afford not to start letting a few people go who they may not be using. It's just, as you continue to sign new people, it's just something that's going to happen at some point. So I think I'm caught up now on all of your messages. Well, you guys really turned out tonight. I'm glad you got, I announced this on short notice too. So I'm glad that you guys were able to join me tonight. Usually I don't go live on Fridays. And by the way, I didn't mention it at all because it wasn't really about that. But before you leave at the end of the stream here in a little bit, hit that like button. Hit that thumbs up. People in the chat saying the Gunn Club might be released by AEW. Well, Billy Gunn is he's an agent there, right? He's a coach. He's a coach, he's an agent. I think the Gunn Club is probably safe. Who we got here? Marquand with the $5 super chat. Love what you said about people punching the keyboard to defend their favorite company. Keep up the good work. I see it every day, brother. Every single day. Oz and Glorious. The lowest paid player at Fulham makes $360,000 annually. I think AEW's contracts are pocket change in comparison. True, but I also think that as they continue to sign more people, you're going to probably have some very frustrated people under contract to AEW who feel like they're never going to get a chance to shine because of all these bigger names that are being brought in. You know, assuming that AEW is not done signing some of these people yet. So we are, I think, before long going to start to see examples of people who are going to jump from AEW to WWE. It may get to a point where WWE lets so many people go, and there are people lower on the card in AEW who feel like, maybe they're never going to get a shot. they may say, hey, I'm going to go jump over to the other side. They can use me. They can use some new talent. They already got rid of so many. It's only natural. At some point, you will start to see some AEW names jump to WWE. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but it will happen. I think even next year, we might see some names jump over to the other side. Adding Rampage will probably help getting that extra hour on TV, so they can maybe put some new faces on that show. That should help. But there's definitely going to be frustration if there isn't already on the AEW side. It's only natural. I mean, how's somebody like Joey Janela feel? You think he's completely happy with his position? Maybe he is. But you don't think there's some frustration that he's not being featured on television more often? How many more people like him are there? Merge. Let me bring the new ones up here on screen. Here we go. Merge. With the $2. Vince finally bought into his promo from 2002. Yes, he is trying to kill his company. He's injected a lethal dose of Nick Khan. Quintus Brown with the $5. If I was Cole, creative control or no deal. Creative control is fine. I think you walk a very slippery slope. If I'm a promoter, I don't give creative control to hardly anybody. I think you're just asking for trouble. He would be better off just getting a no-cut contract, so they can't fire him for no reason. He probably would have a better chance of getting that than he would creative control. Oz and Glorious with the 5. Samoa Joe is getting released next Friday with a huge slice of humble pie and a trash bag full of his belongings, calling it now. Yeah, I'm starting to think maybe he didn't make the best decision. I'm sure he's happy to get back in the ring, though. I'm sure he's been waiting for that for a while. But it makes me wonder if coming back there was the right call to make. I'm not so sure about that now. EJ Slemp, I think Joey Janela will probably leave or get fired from AEW, and I'm not sure if he's well liked by Tony Khan and some of the talent. Well, I mean, he's obviously liked enough because he's been under contract with them since day one. If they didn't like him, I don't think he would be under contract. So, obviously, he's got some people there who must like him. Ace Man in the chat says, apparently TNT is the reason why women are not featured heavily on Dynamite, not Tony Khan. I don't know about that. You know, some of the women's quarter hours, if you look at them, you know, when Meltzer puts them in the Observer, if you're a numbers nerd like I am, when I look at those numbers, some of the women's segments actually tend to do pretty well. So I don't know that I'm necessarily buying that. I don't know where you've heard that from. You know, one thing to watch for is the fact that AEW now has gone, I think, 4 straight weeks with over 1 million viewers. I believe the last 3 weeks they've been over 1.1, which is good because if that's their sort of floor right now, that's before Punk comes in, Danielson, anybody else who might come in. So the potential for them to go even higher is pretty great. Unfortunately for them, the Challenge is back on MTV this Wednesday at 8. And the Challenge has been a ratings monster on Wednesdays. It was kicking AEW and NXT's ass last season. Usually it was number 1 on Wednesdays. So I don't know that we're going to see AEW over 1 million again this week. I have a feeling they're going to be knocked down a few pegs. I'll be more impressed. Forget the Olympics, right? They've held up against the Olympics. I actually think I'll be more impressed if they can sustain the 1 million plus up against the Challenge. So we're going to see. I'm very interested to see where these ratings are going to be when they come out next Thursday. Because I have a feeling they're going to get smashed. They'll still do well, but I don't know that it's going to be over 1 million. That's right. DJT Cartoons in the chat says it's only a matter of time before South Park returns. Santiago, the challenge, I haven't watched it either, but apparently it is, I guess, in the same vein of those old road rules, real world reality challenge shows, right? It's like a reality show where they do challenges against each other. That's my understanding. Somebody told me I should watch it, that I would enjoy it. Yeah, I am the best. My head is in a box because I'm trapped. I'm trapped in this box. I can't get out. I'm stuck. I guess I'll have to stay here. Don't put baby in the... What does it say? Don't put baby in the corner. Don't put Solomonster in the box. Am I ready to see Sting against Ric Flair for the first time in AEW? Oh, God. Oh, my God. No. No. I'm going to talk more about Flair on Sunday. We got a lot to get into on the Sunday podcast, episode 716. You're not going to want to miss this one. We're going to talk more about this stuff. We're going to talk about Ric Flair. I'm going to have a lot to say about Bobby Eaton. Unfortunately, he passed away this week. Rest in peace, Bobby Eaton. More history. So there'll be a lot of good stuff coming up on the show this week. We got one more super chat here from Dried Chicken. There it is. What if CM Punk makes his in-ring debut for New Japan Resurgence as Jon Moxley's partner against the Good Brothers? I think that would be a terrible idea. If I'm Tony Khan and I have him signed, I am debuting him on my show on the 20th. I am not debuting him in New Japan on the 14th. If he's coming back in Chicago. That should be his first appearance. His first appearance in 7 years should not be in front of 2,500 people on some other promotion show as a mystery tag team partner. That I don't like. Even if he turns on Moxley and it builds to a match between them at All Out, I think that would be a terrible idea. You've got to debut him on AEW television. Yeah, I would have said Shota Umino, right? He was doing that stuff with Moxley a couple of years ago, but apparently he's not going to be able to travel to the States, so Eddie Kingston to me would be too obvious. I think if they're building up a mystery partner, Eddie Kingston is too... You would just announce him. You wouldn't build him up as a mystery. Like somebody in the chat just said, I think Sami Callihan is probably the likely choice. Especially against the Good Brothers. He's had issues recently with them and Omega on Impact. Callahan would probably be my best guess as far as who the mystery man's going to be. Cameron Spencer, what's your match of the night prediction at TakeOver? I've got Walter against Dragunov. Yeah, I am definitely looking forward to that. I believe that we are about to witness the end of Walter's reign as champion. I believe it is going to come to an end at TakeOver. And that is going to be a candidate for match of the year, much like their first match was last year on NXT UK. In fact, I think I ranked that as probably my top WWE match of the year. I think it was the first Walter against Dragunov match. So I am very much looking forward to that. Yeah, Jordan says, I also believe WWE... Oh, these chats are going so fast, I can't even read them. Dragunov deserves that title. I think they've built this rematch up very well. They've got a great story there. Walter's been champion over 800 days. And they're cutting so much talent from NXT. If they can convince Walter to come stateside, which I guess he's resisted doing up to this point, he drops the UK title. He comes over to NXT. You build him up to challenge Samoa Joe. You build to a Samoa Joe Walter match for the NXT Championship. And then Walter can start a brand new reign with the NXT title. There it is. He never has to hit the main roster. Walter should never even speak the words Raw or SmackDown. But I think in NXT proper, he would do very well. I think Triple H would know exactly how to use Walter. But if Walter doesn't want to come to the States, I can't say that I blame him. So I can totally understand that as well. Even part-time Walter, I think in NXT, on the main NXT brand, would be better than no Walter. Be better than no Walter. Be better than Buck Showalter. All right. By the way, all the people saying Walter does not want to move to the U.S., that might be the way he felt before, but that doesn't mean he cannot be convinced to move to the U.S. People do change their minds. So depending on what kind of deal Triple H makes with him, it is not out of the realm of possibility that, yes, he might move to the U.S., and maybe he splits his time between the U.S. and overseas. Casey, you're already off. It wasn't 12 guys, it was 13. We found out about another one that got cut. It was a bloodbath tonight for NXT. Guys, I want to thank you for hanging out with me here tonight. Like I said, this was an unexpected stream, an unfortunate one that I would rather have not done because the news was obviously not good. It's never a fun thing to talk about 13 people losing their jobs. But that's kind of the way it is now in WWE. And unfortunately, I don't think we've heard the last of these cuts. They seem to be coming with greater and greater ferocity. So I have a feeling there's going to be more news yet to come. But join me on Sunday for the main audio show, episode 716 of the podcast on all major podcast platforms. You guys know, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Podbean. There's absolutely no way that you can miss this show. If it doesn't work or it doesn't upload quickly enough on one platform, you know you can get it on another one. So I hope that you'll tune into the show on Sunday. Give this video a like, by the way, before you head on out. If you want to become a channel member, we have channel memberships open as well with bonus content coming your way, retro episodes, a lot of fun stuff on there, and access to the Sound Off Discord. You just have to drop me a message and let me know, and I will get you linked up to that. So I'm going to head out. Join me on Wednesday. We'll be live again after AEW Dynamite from Pittsburgh, and next Friday, live Friday stream for AEW Rampage as soon as it goes off the air. I will be back with you live here on YouTube. So until then, be well, stay safe. And to Vince McMahon and Nick Khan, you guys have effectively killed, what was once a very fun brand to follow. And you should all be ashamed for what you have done to NXT, for what you continue to do to the talent, which deserves better. The fans of the brand deserve better than being slapped in the face like this. I think it is a disgrace. And I sit here and say that they should be ashamed, but of course these are people who unfortunately have no shame. And that sucks for the rest of us. Take care, guys. I'll see you on Sunday for 716.